Hi guys, and welcome back to I Speak English. My name's Hayley, and in this lesson I'm going to be going through common mistakes made by Spanish speakers when they speak English. So if you are a native speaker of Spanish or you speak Spanish, stick with me here, and I'm going to be going through some really common errors that I hear all the time from my students. You might be making these errors as well, so stick around and watch just to make sure. If you're not a Spanish speaker, this video is not for you. You might not find it that useful, but please do go to the rest of my channel. Check out some of my other videos for general English. I'm sure you'll find something useful. Alright, so before we take a look at the errors, please do make sure you're subscribed and that you hit the bell so that you can get a notification from me every time I upload a new video. New videos every Saturday, so if you want to learn English every week, you can. Just make sure you hit the bell and you hit that subscribe button as well. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so let's take a look at our common errors then. The first error that I hear speakers make in my class is wrong word order, especially with adjectives. Okay, so in Spanish you can put the adjective before the noun, you can put it after the noun. In English, your adjective always needs to come before the noun, always. So let's say, for example, you want to say this sentence: Se compró un precioso bolso negro. In English, you might say, she bought a beautiful bag black. That's not correct. Okay, the adjective always goes before the noun in English, so you must say she bought a beautiful black bag. Even if you have more than one adjective, it always goes before the noun. But what about the order of the adjectives? Could I also say a black beautiful bag? No, you cannot. So there's something very specific about English in that the adjectives have a particular order. Okay, if you have multiple adjectives, they need to go in one order. If you remember the acronym OSAS COMP, this is going to help you remember the order of these adjectives, okay? So that order is opinion, size, age, shape, so that's OSAS. COMP is color, origin, material, purpose. That is the order that your adjectives must go in when you're talking in English. So if we wanted to use 8 adjectives, we'd need to put them in this order. She bought a beautiful, big, new, round, black, Spanish traveling bag. They would have to go in that order. They cannot go in any other order because it doesn't make sense and it sounds really strange to an English ear if you were to switch around those adjectives. So make sure you remember this. OSAS COMP is your acronym to remember this, okay? OSAS, opinion, size, age, shape, COMP, color, origin, material, purpose. All right, so that's error number 1. Error number 2 is forgetting articles. Okay, so a, an, the. I often hear Spanish speakers forget articles because you're directly translating from Spanish. So if you want to say, mi hija es médico, in Spanish you don't say, mi hija es un médico or una médico. So in English, you might be tempted to say, my daughter is doctor. I've heard someone say this before, especially with professions or jobs, we always need to put that article. You have to say, my daughter is a doctor. Otherwise, it sounds strange. It's not grammatically correct. So make sure you're not forgetting your articles. All right, moving on to number 3. Dropping subject pronouns. Okay, so we always use the subject pronoun in English. In Spanish, you don't have to, because in Spanish, the ending of the verb tells you who is talking, right? Or who is doing the action. In English, we don't conjugate our verbs that way, so you have to use the subject pronoun. For example, if you just want to say something as simple as llueve. Llueve. How do you say that in English? You might say, is raining. Llueve. No, it is raining. Okay, we always need that subject pronoun, always. Okay, I do something. You do something. He or she does something. You always need that subject pronoun. In Spanish, maybe you don't, but make sure you're always putting that pronoun. If you're not sure whether you're making these mistakes or not, there's actually a really good way to check your speaking. It's a brilliant app called 5 Minute English. And what it does, basically, you get to choose a topic and a question that you want to answer, and then you speak and record yourself speaking to answer the question, and then it will change your speech to text, and it will correct all of your grammar and vocabulary. So you can see if you are making the mistakes that I've spoken about in this lecture today. So it's available on the Google Play Store. I'll put a link in the description for you, and you can take a free trial, have a play around with it, practice your speaking, and you'll be able to see if you're making any of the mistakes that I pointed out to you in this lesson. So links in the description if you want to download it and give it a try. In the meantime, we're going to head on to our next error, which is double negatives. Okay, so I hear my students make this mistake quite a lot. So in Spanish, you can use double negatives without a problem. In English, we do not like double negatives, and they are not grammatically correct. So for example, if in Spanish you say no dije nada, how do you say no dije nada in English? I didn't say nothing. No, because it's a double negative. Not and nothing cannot go in the same sentence. You must say I didn't say anything, because anything is not negative. So this goes for all of your double negatives in Spanish. Okay, so never put a double negative in English if you can help it. All right, moving on to number 5, overusing have. Okay, this is super common. So in Spanish, you have a lot of phrases with tener. It's a very popular verb. So for example, you might say tengo hambre, tengo calor, tengo frío, tengo 30 años. You have a lot of phrases with tengo. In English, we don't do this, okay? You cannot say I have hunger, I have thirst, I have cold, I have hot, I have 30 years. It sounds really strange. It's not correct. You need to say I am. I am hungry. I am thirsty. I am cold. I am hot. I am 30 years old, okay? So watch out with tener, watch out with have. They don't function in the same way in Spanish and English, okay? Be careful with those. All right, and finally, our final common error that I hear Spanish speakers make is with the verb quitar. Okay, so often when you're kind of directly translating from Spanish into English, I often hear my students say, oh, I quit whatever. First of all, the pronunciation would be quit, but quitar does not mean quit in English. They're false friends. Quit actually means dejar. Quitar has a lot of different meanings in English. Again, we don't use it. It's like tener. We don't use it in exactly the same way. You have a lot of phrases that include quitar, and when you translate them into English, the verb is not quit. It's something completely different. For example, quitar la ropa. You don't quit the clothes, okay? Quit is dejar, like give up. Instead, you take off your clothes, okay? So quitar la ropa, take off your clothes. Quitar el hambre, okay? Again, you can't quit hunger. You take away hunger. Something a bit more informal, you can say fill a hole if you want, but you can also say take away hunger. Quitar la mesa, you clear the table, okay? When you're finished eating, you clear the table, you clean everything. Quitar el sueño, you cannot quit tiredness. It's not possible. Something keeps you awake. You could maybe say stay awake as well, but if it's something that, te quita el sueño, you would say it keeps you awake. Okay. All right. And another one, quitar un dolor. Again, you cannot quit pain. You would take away pain. So quitar sometimes means take away. It sometimes means take off. And quitar la vista de alguien. Take your eyes off. You'd say, oh, I can't take my eyes off him, or I can't take my eyes off it. Okay, so a lot of the times we do use quitar like take away, take off, but usually quitar kind of involves take and some other preposition, but it is not quit. Okay, so be careful with that verb. It can be a bit confusing. Oh, and we've got one more. Sorry, I forgot about that. Okay, our final one is gender confusion. Okay, so in Spanish you use gender, you use masculine and feminine. We do not have this in English. Objects are not gendered. Okay, for example, la mesa is feminine in Spanish, does not have a gender in English. There's no gender to random objects, only to people. This one I see more often with su, because in Spanish it's the same word for masculine and feminine, it's just su. So in English it's his or her, depending on the person. So if you want to say es su libro and es el libro de Maria, you cannot say it's his book. You need to say it's her book. Her is su for a woman. His is su for a man. So make sure you're not doing this. I hear this a lot from Spanish speakers. Be careful with this one. And another one is gendering objects. So like I said before, objects do not have a gender in the English language. So if you wanted to say la mesa está rota, you would not say the table, she is broken. Okay, the table does not have a gender. Table is broken. You don't need to add that pronoun in there, and you definitely don't need to gender the pronoun. Okay, if you did add a pronoun, it would be it, never he or she or whatever. All right, and there you go. They are your 7 common errors that Spanish speakers make when they're speaking English. Let me know in the comments if you've made any of these errors. I'm sure maybe you've made 1 or 2. Don't worry about it. If you found this video useful, please do give it a like. It just helps more people to find the video so that they can understand whether they're making errors in English as well. And as usual, make sure that you are subscribed and you hit the bell so that you get a notification from me every week when I upload a new video. If you've got any questions about anything that I spoke about in the video today, just write me a little comment and I'll get back to you when I can. And that's all from me for today. I'll see you in a video soon.